Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I am your humble host, Willie Bragg. And before we get started, I will like to say to you all to go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that, hit the subs, hit that like button. Comment, share, subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, on Twitch. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, and all will be well. And so let's talk about. Let's revisit an issue that some people don't really like to. Some people don't really like to see brought back up. Some well-meaning people don't like to see it brought up that disagree with the tactic. And there are people that don't like it because it would actually produce the result that is the desire. I am talking about force to vote. Now, for those, and I'm assuming that 99% of this audience know what the hell I mean by force to vote. But just in case there are those out there that don't know what the hell force to vote is, what force to vote basically meant is to use your leverage in Congress, to use your leverage to force, well, back then it was to force Nancy Pelosi to call for a vote on Medicare for all. That was the plan. That was the plan right there. Everybody said, well, Jimmy Dore came up with the idea. Well, Jimmy Dore didn't come up with the idea. He brought it up as a suggestion from the DSA membership handbook in 2019. They talked about things like forcing the vote on members of Congress on legislation. So this is nothing that was just dreamt out of the air, out of the blue. And this was a perfect opportunity with COVID. People losing their health insurance coverage because they were laid off from work. That with a pandemic causing sickness and everything, that it just made healthcare just that much more of a crisis than ever. This was an opportunity to do something about healthcare. This was an opportunity, and it was fucking wasted. And I'm angry that I'm still pissed that it was wasted. Now, some people that are on my side of the fence, on the left, there are different factions of the left, and many of us that supported people like Bernie and people like the Squad, what became the Squad years ago, are really pissed that the Squad decided not to go about it. And and I really think it comes down to this, that there are people, and not necessarily the Squad themselves, but I'm talking about people outside, I'm talking about elitists in the circle around the Squad, on the, in the media, and even on the independent media, some of the more mainstream voices that didn't like the idea of force to vote, in my opinion, because, and as I said, this is my opinion, they just didn't like how coarse. They thought it looked coarse. They thought it looked ugly. They just thought it was a Bolshevik tactic. it looked rude. We just experienced 4 years of rudeness with Orange Man. We experienced 8 years of rudeness with the Tea Party. You know what? As much as I despise the rudeness of the right, when they're rude, they get shit done. The left, that's the problem with the fucking left. I mean, if they're not cancel culturing people out, those that do the cancel culture, they're playing patty cake with and acting like subordinates to corporate Democrats. If the corporate Democrats don't want it, they'll be like, oh, okay. And if the left snipe at them, you're being divisive. And that's the same shit that happens over and over again. I'm just so fucking sick of it. I really am. So anyway, I was watching Heartlands Media yesterday morning, and I'm glad they brought this up. And I'll play you a little bit of it, and I will put the link down for Heartlands Media. And be sure to, they probably don't need my help because I'm a smaller channel, but I believe in helping independent media, and they are a part of the independent media ecosystem, and they do good work. So I will urge you to go ahead and subscribe to Heartlands Media. Kit Cabello and Daniel Bruker, I believe that's his name. Luker. They decided to have a little chat about this force of vote thing with regard to the squad, corporate Democrats, and the right wing. Anyway, I'll go ahead and play it, and I will share my thoughts as we go along here, and what I normally do here. So give me a moment and we will get started. All right. Okay. Hopefully we'll. Here we go.
Let's all that we can to build a better future. Folks, Daniel, force the vote. You remember that? Does everyone remember that? Does anyone kind of remember something called force the vote? Anyone? Yes? No?
I remember it was violence. I don't think there's anything past that. I think it was just violence. Anyone who was trying to get health care for Americans, any political means necessary, they were just evil. And I don't remember more than that.
Well, here's the thing. So why am I bringing up force the vote? Well, once again, to shock of people like Cenk Uygur and Sam Cedar and everyone else who's part of that PYT, blue checkmark, fake progressive leftist movement. Turns out Jimmy Dore was once again correct. Not right, just correct on the fact on how powerful force the vote can be done. Now, AOC and the squad failed in their opportunity. There were 15 congressmen and women that were called upon by the movement for force the vote for Medicare for All by withholding their vote for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House to get a resolution, a bill put on the House floor for the House members to vote on at the height of the pandemic to start implementing Medicare for All. Now, again, those critics, especially Cenk and Sam, who were on board and then got a phone call probably to backpedal away from it.
Do you think Mike gets those phone calls too, or do they just tell him like someone else tells him?
Dan, I'm going to give you the reenactment of
please, that'd be great. I would love to see that.
Hi, I'm Mike. How you doing? Mike, I need you to listen to me. Okay. You're going to be against force to vote. A slap in the face, that's it. All right? Not kindly, just slap. Okay, there you go. That's a whole thing right there. But, okay. Now, obviously, a lot of those critics who were against force to vote for Medicare for All, withholding their vote for Nancy Pelosi, there was this fear of, oh no, McCarthy's going to become Speaker of the House. Oh no, it'll never work. We got to be pragmatic. Well, here's the thing. We want to shine a light on the heartless politicians that were not giving their constituents or citizens Medicare for All. A lot of our politicians have gold-plated health care, six-figure salaries, and other wonderful social benefits. The squad and those other 14 progressive members, or quote-unquote progressives, got nothing in return from Nancy Pelosi or the Democratic establishment. Cenk Uygur, Sam Cedar were wrong. The Democrats never did anything. They kept their powder dry for nothing. In fact, the powder is now dissipated.
They sold off the powder, but still kept it on the books.
Now, again, why am I talking about force vote? Well, it turns out now the GOP Freedom Caucus can possibly use their own ways to get a force of vote to work for them. So,
and that is correct. But not only will the Freedom Caucus be using force to vote, because they're even in a better advantage than the Democrats were, the squad were 2 years ago. Because the squad, there was just a handful of seats for the Democrats, but for the Republicans, it looks like it may be just a 1-seat majority, possibly, maybe as many as 3 to 5 seats. But right now, it's probably as much as 1 seat at this standing. I keep checking several times a day, and it's just on pause on the House seats and everything. They got the majority, and so they got a lot of leverage, the right wing, and they will use it. They will use it. The right wing will use it. The so-called Freedom Caucus. And 2 years ago, AOC had her committee's assignments taken away from her. And I think it has something to do with them being threatened by this so-called forced vote that was going to be used that was never used. And they decided to go. And I think, in my opinion, I think that they did that to punish AOC because they thought that she might have been plotting. And, I felt sorry for her at the time. I don't anymore. Just because she did was just suck up to the leadership without any pushback. She wanted to keep the powder dry for raising the minimum wage. Never happened. But you know what? Prior to the Freedom Caucus, about ready to abuse their power with force to vote for evil, corporate Democrats like Kirsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, they use force to vote to destroy Build Back Better. But will the left, the supposed left inside the Democrats, will they use it or do what it takes to challenge the leadership to, in the words of AOC, to make them feel uncomfortable? No, they won't. Not at all. Not at all. But anyway, I'll let Kitten and Daniel continue.
What am I talking about? I want to pull up this video thing and shot the case study QB who's wrongly being censored.
Can I say real quickly?
Go ahead.
How funny it is. The minute you're covering this, tell me to stop. How funny it is watching the same people that were like, we can't have McCarthy and take over Nancy Pelosi seat, even though it couldn't have happened. But now that it looks like it's going to happen, they're like, hey, he's not the worst guy that could be leading the House.
So now again.
Yeah, but you got Democrats. They're acting like the 2022 election is a big old victory. Yeah, I mean, sure, the Democrats held on to the Senate. They held on to the Senate. I mean, I guess that's a victory in itself. But their seats disappeared, and it's not really the so-called fraud squad's fault, believe it or not. It belongs to a dumbass like Pete Maloney up in New York, who's head of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, a corporate Democrat himself, the corporate Democrat, who decided to move to another congressional district because he felt vulnerable in his district that had a chain effect that harmed several other Democratic members of Congress. And then he still blamed AOC. The only blame AOC gets, and this applies to the squad, is not using force to vote 2 years ago. Now, the blame for the Democrats fucking up in this election, the Democratic leadership. The corporate Democrats, as usual. It is not the so-called radical left, because there's no radical left in the Democratic Party. I mean, there are people that may make some platitudes, but a radical left are people that will actually go out and get things done and not be all talk. And it's the easiest thing in the world to talk the talk and not walk the walk, as the saying goes. And unfortunately, as much as I despise people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and Lauren Boebert, as much as I despise them, they do walk the walk, and I have to have a weird kind of sideway respect for that, because they're willing to do what it takes to get what they want done. Unfortunately, it's not for good. And I'm just beside myself. We can't have nice things in this country. Seems like it just seems like we we just can't have nice things.
Like I said before, and this is an outstanding video for the case of TV Magic Catcher from MSNBC. Will the GOP Freedom Caucus use the narrow GOP majority to force the vote? So force the vote. My goodness, are you telling me we're going to see the House GOP actually use force the vote that the Squad failed to use?
I think I just figured out why they were against it. It's actually very five-head. Ready for this?
What's up?
Remember, we've learned now that whatever Republicans do, the Democrats are against. Hey, Republicans, there's a small group of Republicans that are against the war. We're for it even more. What actually happened, I didn't realize the genius of AOC until just now. AOC knew that in a year, about a year from when she was saying it, that at some point, the Republicans taking over the House were going to use force the vote, and that's why we can't use force the vote.
Very good. You know what? Compulsive contrarianism is the way of both parties. It is. You think about it, the Affordable Care Act. It was popularized by the Republicans as a free market approach to healthcare reform until a moderate Democrat by the name of Barack Obama decided to go and pursue that policy, that way, that path of healthcare reform, instead of going to Physicians for a National Health Program, or going to, well, as much as a sellout as they are of an organization, but still their position's good. The DSA position on healthcare reform, their position of Medicare for all. That instead of going there, they go to a right-wing think tank like the Heritage Foundation. And that's what Democrats do. I mean, they run to the right and borrow their ideas much quicker than they do the left, and that's just the way it is. And then it becomes socialized medicine for the Republicans. All of a sudden, we have become, we got gulags all over the place, and the death panels that Sarah Palin talked about. I hate to break it to Sarah Palin, the Lauren Boebert before Lauren Boebert came along, but we have always had death panels. They're called insurance companies. Private health insurance companies are the death panels.
You know what? And see, here's the thing. Knowing how, again, uneducated the Squad is, and let's face it, our Democratic lawmakers don't really care. They've already abandoned student debt forgiveness. Think they're going to do anything about women's reproductive rights? The answer is probably no. So I want to pull up this video here, and let's actually talk about how, again, House GOP, especially the Freedom Caucus, can potentially use their force to vote. Good
point, Kit. And that's the thing right there. The student debt relief. Look what happened there. And the thing about Biden knew that Trump appointed one of these Trump appointed judges would strike it down, and he doesn't care. He looks good in the public relations. Look like, hey, I tried doing something for student debt relief, and then at the same time, he really didn't have to do it because he really didn't want to do it to begin with. And then the Democratic Party foot soldiers can demonize big old mean Republicans, when they're for the same policies. I mean, it's the easiest thing in the world, honestly. It's the easiest thing in the world to blame Republicans. But, if you really go behind the scenes, I mean, a lot of Democrats are for the same things that the Republicans for. And at the end of the day, aside from a few cosmetic social issues, and some social issues are important, there's really not a whole lot of difference at the end of the day. They turn their back on reproductive rights. I mean, Joe Biden made a deal with the devil. Mitch McConnell saying, well, you'll pay this justice. I will appoint two pro-life justices next time. And he gets what he wants, Mitch McConnell. And it's kind of funny that some of the Republicans are going to try to try to unseat Mitch McConnell. When Mitch McConnell, as much as I hate the guy, he is good at what he is good at his job. If I was a Republican, I would probably want to keep him. I hope he gets knocked out of the way. But they don't know what to do with this election, because that red wave turned into just a red splash, a little wimpy little red splash, just a little red dip.
If
McCarthy is in a position where, say, he can now only lose, say, 3 votes, well then, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, and that means Florida, and Paul Gosar of Arizona, they could become the 3 most powerful people in the House, demanding that McCarthy drag his party as far as possible to the MAGA fringe. Now, at this moment, this is kind of interesting. Greene is actually supporting openly McCarthy. She voted for him. She's kind of campaigning for him, presumably because she knows how much power she will wield under his speakership. Gates, however, is not kind of a bad cop, good cop routine, if you ask me. Gates, in fact, just made the rounds of the right-wing podcast circuit to lobby against McCarthy, essentially promising to make life a nightmare for him if and when he takes control. What I'm here to tell you is there are definitely at least 5 people, actually a lot more than that, who would rather be waterboarded by Liz Cheney than vote for Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House. And I'm one of them. We cannot trust Kevin McCarthy. Whatever Kevin has promised Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guarantee you this. At the first opportunity, he will zap her faster than you can say Jewish space laser. And
oh my God. If somebody on the left would have said what he said, you'd have Fox News jumping down their throat saying anti-Semite, anti-Semite, anti-Semite. I don't necessarily think that's anti-Semitic what he's saying. I think he is trying to be funny, but the right would jump down a Democrat's throat or actual leftist throat if they use that analogy. But anyway.
And I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the conduct and it is the pattern and practice of Kevin McCarthy over years that showcase this. Just tell how much he really wants to be a podcast host on a member of Congress.
Okay. Like, did he just say that? Doesn't he also bring in Congress people who have podcasts and gush about their podcasts? Isn't that guy too?
Yeah, something like that, Dan. And unfortunately, what we have to realize, especially when it comes down to these progressive, especially what we're seeing in the House, the Democrats are just going to let this happen. They really can do nothing. And also, real quick, we are kind of getting some background noise from you on your end, I believe.
Oh, that I can. Yeah, give me 1 second. I can deal with that.
I shall remove you, and there you go. So there you go. All right, so folks, let me go ahead and pull up this next video here real quick in regards to how Kevin McCarthy now has a daunting, arduous task to at least maybe try and become Speaker of the House. So again, shout out again to KSWTV, who's wrongly being censored on Twitter. Elon Musk fixed that right away. So again, shout out again to KSWTV, who managed to find all these videos. Let's find out again how the Freedom Caucus can maintain their power. And I want to also.
Oh, okay. Because every time I check on Google, it says 218 for the Republicans and 212 for the Democrats. But it's now, it looks like it's officially 220 to 215. Interesting. Okay. I was just noticing that just now. I didn't notice it when I looked at this the first time. Sorry, folks.
Also give a shout out to Roger Meadows, who also mentioned this. Once I saw the Republicans take the House, the only thing that kept ringing in my head was me picturing the Freedom Caucus reciting Jay-Z's line, "The squad, I show you how to do this, son." So let's go ahead and play this video right here.
Now is the time when every Republican in Washington starts bullying Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy is currently the Republican leader, so he is all but guaranteed to be Speaker of the House in January when the new Congress is sworn in. Mostly because anyone else capable of doing the job is, well, hard enough not wanted. As Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas told HuffPost, quote, "There's no other alternative." Today, the House had their preliminary secret leadership vote, the House Republican Caucus, and in that, McCarthy seemed to dispatch his only real rival, the far-right election denier Andy Biggs of Arizona. In that preliminary speakership vote, this is just within the Republican caucus, 31 Republicans voted against McCarthy. That means he got 188 votes. He will need 218 to wield the Speaker's gavel, which is a vote of the full House of Representatives. And he now has to work tirelessly to get his party unified behind him. Now, this naturally gives the fringes of the Republican Party, the far-right Freedom Caucus, the unofficial MAGA Troll Caucus, an extraordinary amount of power. They can make or break McCarthy's speakership. They are going to maximize their leverage, and they're going to make him sweat a lot. And here's the thing. Whether they're doing it explicitly or implicitly, they are really wielding that power on behalf of Donald Trump to essentially force Kevin McCarthy's hand and do whatever the ex-president wants to make him the shadow speaker. Trump is apparently already demanding McCarthy's complete fealty, at least according to his close advisor, Jason Miller. What I would like to see.
Okay. Now, y'all notice what Chris Hayes was saying there. Basically, he basically was talking about forcing the vote. I mean, he didn't say force the vote, but that's what the right did. They forced the vote right there. And with this force the vote situation, guess what happens? They're causing a lot of problems to the Republican normies in the leadership. Kevin McCarthy, too conservative for me. Okay, that goes without saying. He's too conservative for me. But while he's too conservative for me, within the Republican circles and Republican ecosystem in Congress, he's probably a relatively normal human being in the same universe, so to speak. And so, just like John Boehner and Paul Ryan. This is what the Tea Party did. And these people here are way, way, way more hardcore right than the Tea Party were. And the Tea Party were horrendous. And they drove these people to insanity that they were like, fuck it, I'm leaving. I am getting the hell out of here. And that's what happened. Okay, and the thing about the squad, even if the squad thought we could get away with this, but they're going to hate us. And, they will hate us. They should relish in the hatred of the media and relish in the hatred of the Democratic leadership. They should relish in it. They should wear it as a badge of honor. But no. They want to suck up to the media, and they don't even go. And Savvy Sav said this. They don't even go to independent media, really, with the exception of Ro Khanna. And I got my opinions of Ro Khanna. But having that said, they need it. If they go and just wear as a badge of honor and just take their case to the people, go back to their districts and talk to the people and tell them how they're fighting like hell for them, they'll win the respect. They will win the respect. Be a fucking populace. But, and the thing about it is that even if you're going to look at an institution like the Democratic Party, which is corrupt as hell, but if you're going to look at the Democratic Party and say, hey, this is where we need to go and do our fighting to get shit done. If you got to go and look at the Democratic Party and pursue this inside the Democratic Party, if you got to do it, and I think you have to do it outside at this point, but if you insist in fighting inside the Democratic Party to fight the Republicans and even fight fellow Democrats to get shit done, it ought to be the easiest thing in the world to win elections as a populace. When the Republicans sit there and throw around stupid culture war narratives, you go around and say, well, there they are. They're talking about transgender people who are human beings, who ought to be treated with equality. I, on the other hand, want everybody to have health care. I want everybody to have a living wage. Even that bigoted asshole over there that's running his mouth, So I'm for transgender equality, but I'm also for that asshole who's poor over there telling everybody, making these bigoted remarks, who is down on his luck, blaming everybody but himself for his misfortune. I even want him to have health care and a living wage job, because if he did, he might not be so bigoted and so angry at the world. This is the sort of thing. Winning an election ought to be the easiest thing for a Democrat. There was no reason for Democrats to have really lost this, done as badly as they did. Because, again, the Democrats did not, the Democrats acting like they won this election when they just didn't do as badly as everybody anticipated. So it's just really a weird world that we live in sometimes with people's logic and all that. We'll let everybody here continue.
I'd like to see, Steve, I do think that Kevin McCarthy needs to, if he wants to have a chance to be speaker, he'd be much more declarative that he is supporting President Trump. I thought what Elise Stefanik did yesterday was very smart. And the fact of the matter is, it's going to be a MAGA-centric caucus. It's probably true. Now, even if McCarthy does cave and get behind Trump for 2024, that MAGA caucus is still going to make his life a living nightmare. That's not going to end it. One of the concessions that some of those folks, those far-right Republicans, are demanding, on condition of supporting McCarthy for Speaker, would be the return of a procedural rule, sort of obscure, but it's known as the motion to vacate the chair. And the thing about that is, it effectively allows any member to submit a vote of essentially no confidence in the Speaker. Way back in July of 2015, then Republican Congressman Mark Meadows filed a motion to vacate against then Republican Speaker John Boehner, which effectively forced Boehner into retirement.
And I'm going to pause it right there. Can you imagine if that was imposed upon Nancy Pelosi, if the squad wanted to do something, if the squad actually had a backbone? Can you imagine that? So when I read Roger Meadows' quote right there on Rockfin, thank you so much for that conversation, Roger Meadows, I was thinking, wow, the Republicans are going to show us how it's done. The Democrats can never do this to their own leadership. Daniel, your thoughts?
So I think it's fascinating that crazy people can effectively use force the vote, but it's crazy to ask your reasonable Congress people to do the same.
Yeah. So again, we have a politician, we have a political system where the squad says they can't do anything, that we have to be pragmatic. You have people like Jen Huber who say that Jimmy Dore is incorrect. You have people like Sam Cedar saying that force the vote doesn't work. But we're seeing force the vote work. And no, it's not for Medicare for all or any other progressive policy issue. It's in regards for the Freedom Caucus and its members to implement their own power to twist the arm of McCarthy. And McCarthy now has a dauntless task of keeping his party and his base happy. And look, leading back to Trump, Trump knows how to rally his supporters. Whether you like it or not, Trump is able to build up on his movement. He's able to fill up stadiums. He's able to get his political message out there. Whether you like it or not, he's able to get his people out there. And if his base is saying, I don't like this person in the House, they need to go, and the Speaker of the House is stopping Trump, all what Trump has to do.
Hold on a second here. Oh, good Lord. I knew that was going to happen at some point. We'll do this here. Well, the thing about it is, the Republicans going to have a fight in their hands. They're going to have an uneasy time. Kevin McCarthy and so the so-called reasonable people in the Republican Party, which is kind of an oxymoron these days, because it ain't your grandpa and grandma's Republican Party anymore. I mean, it's not the Republican Party of the Dwight Eisenhower years anymore. It's not to put it in fictional television terms. It's not even the party of Thurston Howell and Lovey from Gilligan's Island anymore. It's the Republican Party of Duck Dynasty. That's what it is. So I mean, this is what you're dealing with, except that they're more extreme than Duck Dynasty. This Duck Dynasty that believes in QAnon. So that's what we're dealing with. This is the mentality you're dealing with these folks. So to make life a living hell for these folks. I mean, I have to admit that I admire the gusto. I admire the gusto of these awful Republicans for willing to fight to make the life uneasy of these people. And I wish that they would have. I wish that these so-called progressives would have the gusto to do the same. We'll let Kit and Daniel continue. Okay, give me a moment here, and let me get everything set up.
Who is called the Freedom Caucus, and they will do his bidding. You think people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are going to give a damn about procedure or being pragmatic? If Trump gives the call, they'll do it. Matt Gaetz, same thing. If Trump gives the call, they'll do it. Because, again, everyone wants to ride on board with the Trump train. And whether or not Trump still has the same power he held in 2016 and 2020, we have to be seen. But the fact that you have the Freedom Caucus right now putting this pressure on McCarthy before there's even a vote for who will be the next Speaker of the House, it says to me that force of vote could have been done, that the squad had the power. They really do have the following if they wanted to activate it, but they chose not to because they're part of the system as well.
Yeah, again, this goes to, it's like there are no people that have ideologies anymore. It's just people who have teams. And when, again, literally, if the GOP today said, hey, you know what? We're going to push for solar and wind farms. All that would happen is the Democratic Senate would go, no, we can't do that. In fact, we're doubling down on our investment in coal. The GOP could say, we should all continue breathing air, and half of the Democrats in the country would die of asphyxiation. That's the place we're in right now. We're not in a spot where any of this stuff is relevant. It's just what side is saying it. That determines the answer. So when we, a year ago, joined with everyone else and said, hey, we should try and force the vote and get everyone's name on a record so we knew who in this upcoming election was not for Medicare for all, try and vote some of them out, show our power, which is quite literally how Wheeler, the guy who got prohibition passed, that's how he did it. And it was immensely effective. But no, who ran interference against us? The people that were supposed to, and on paper, and verbally said they were our allies. They got a phone call, and they decided we're not going in that direction. Because I would really like to get a ticket to the DNC next time it happens. Because I would really like to get someone on my show. TYT, how's that been working out for you? How many times has AFB gotten on your show since you offered to help? And now I think this goes into the story I'll be covering next, where I think there's a lot more pressure behind the scenes. That's really just do what we say, or we'll shut you down or make life threats.
I also want to, again, pull this out. Look, controversial statement in 3, 2, 1. The Freedom Caucus has more of a backbone and more heart in their political message than the entire Congressional Progressive Caucus. Why? Because
Okay, two things. Yeah, the Young Turks, don't take them seriously anymore. Anything anything comes out of Shank Uger's mouth, I'm just like, what a disingenuous dick he is. As far as the backbone of of the the Freedom Caucus, and usually the backbone of Republicans, they're willing to do what it takes to get what they need to done. Terrible things to have done. I mean, but not the Democrats, except for the corporate Democrats, the right wing Democrats. They'll go and punch left every time and play patty cake with the right.
Because they want to have their seat at the table. They want to make their mark, and that means challenging leadership. That means challenging people in power and not being obedient. You know, I used to subscribe to this theory that the Republican Party was all uniformed and organized, and that they would never challenge leadership. But no. It will change leadership if said members feel that their leader, Speaker of the House, isn't doing the job that they subscribe to. Whereas the Democrats, they won't break ranks. They won't. They say they're a party of Big Tent and all these different people, but they will follow their marching orders. The DNC establishment, the Speaker of the House, again, who's ever really controlling the main Democratic narrative, they don't break ranks. They're not going to fight. I mean, look, Bernie Sanders, he created progressive revolution, and it just fizzled away into the Democratic machine to be eaten up and spit out. I got to give the Republican Party credit, and it's probably the one nice thing I'll say.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, hold on a second, folks. Oh Lord. Okay, give me a moment here. I don't know why it keeps doing that. All right, hold on. All right. I just would like to see the left win in this country for a change, and I mean, I just sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I give up. I mean, that's how I feel sometimes. I just would like to I would just like to go and just hang it up. But there's a part of me that just says, don't give up. So I have to believe in something. So I'm just going to keep going and doing what I can do to make things happen. So anyway, I don't know. I just wanted to share that thought. So we'll let Kit and Daniel wrap this up, and I'll share my thoughts once again. Okay, hold on a second here. All right.
At least if they want something done, they will kick out their leadership. They're not obedient. That's as far as I want to say without being nice. The Squad, the Progressive Caucus, don't have a backbone, and we're going to see the Freedom Caucus use their force of vote. And if McCarthy does remain in power, he's going to be on his knees, making sure that the Freedom Caucus is pleased with whatever decision he makes.
So one thing I would disagree with on that is they have a backbone, just like they're smart. It's just the backbone doesn't help us. I think it's an important distinction to make, because you know what happens when they have millions of Americans begging them for health care, begging them not to cancel the Trump checks. It takes a bit of a backbone to go, no, we're canceling those checks.
Yeah.
They have a backbone. The problem is that they don't have a backbone. It's who they don't have a backbone to and who they have a backbone to. They have no backbone to. You know what I feel really bad for? All the Democrats, their second biggest contributor, that crypto website, is no longer there to tell them what to do, and someone else is now going to have to fit in that fold. So it's like, again, they're both sides feed corporate interest. Just one pretends that they're against it, and other people believe them. With Republicans, we get it. We know where your allegiances are. We know you're here to help big business. Trump just represents a different, more chaotic angle of doing that than the standard order Republican does. That's really the difference. They're not arguing as much about policy changes. They're arguing vibe checks.
Trump offers a comedy show. That's pretty much the difference.
So go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Well, because I know we're kind of going a little bit over time, but there was a video I want to play from the jail hall where she's quoted saying the Freedom Caucus has always been the caucus of no. They have been the caucus willing to explode everything. And see, the thing is, okay, you're talking about democracy. We don't have a democracy. Do you think we have time to play, or we're going a little bit over time, Dan?
Well, we're 30 minutes into a 1-hour show. We may want to move on.
Yeah, so folks, you can find this link in the show notes description box below, but I'll leave you all. I don't want you guys to think about this. Camille J. Paul is the head of the Progressive Caucus, and she couldn't get done anything. Nothing. No progressive policy passed under her watch.
As far as I'm concerned, the Progressive Caucus died when they allowed that Karen in Ohio as a member, and they and they allow Nina Turner to be fucked over twice. And I'm talking about I cannot think of the name of the congresswoman in that district that filled in the seat, Chantel Brown. Yes, belonging to the New Democrat coalition and then belonging to the Progressive Caucus. The Progressive Caucus is meaningless at this point. It's meaningless. There's no reason. They might as well just wrap it up, make it cease to exist. As far as I'm concerned,
nothing fundamentally changed. And so the sad truth is, the Freedom Caucus, they're going to want their policies implemented, and if they're going to be all in line for Trump, that speaker, be it McCarthy or whoever else, will be beholden to them. They're going to use their power, and while they're willing to explode everything, they're going to get everything that they want because they will twist the arm of the leadership to be obedient to them and their constituents and their diehard supporters.
By the way, just to kind of like bring this full circle before we move on to the next segment, Jordan is now live talking about Trump duration syndrome.
Oh, really?
It's already happening. It's already back to how it was. As if we've learned nothing about why all these things are happening. At the end of the day, it always comes down to, hey, the people are suffering, and they're looking for someone to solve their suffering. Democrats aren't doing that. They're already aligned with Republican. That's the direction they go. They're going to trust the demagogue who says that he's going to alleviate their suffering. It can't be that. It just has to be Trump's a mythical genie who can control people's mind.
With a final note for this story, I had hope that things would be better, and I was wrong.
All right. Well, there you have it, though. So, go ahead and follow them. Follow Heartlands Media. Good program. I listen to it whenever I get a chance. I work graveyard shift, so sometimes I'm not able to get to it as often as I need to. So, but suffice to say, I agree with what they're saying about this force of vote thing. And here's another thing. Let me add this as a caveat. And this is what I like to say about force to vote. We urge the squad to go with force to vote, and the squad decided not to do it because their excuse was, there was another way to try to go and get this thing passed. Same thing with some of the more mainstream voices in independent media. Well, if we use force to vote, we might not get Medicare for all. Well, guess what? We didn't use force to vote. We don't have Medicare for all. Those of us that supported force to vote were correct. If a corporate Democratic asshole like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema can use it to destroy Build Back Better, and if Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and God knows Paul Gosar and all these other nutcases can go and twist Kevin McCarthy's arm around using their own variation of force to vote, something tells me force to vote works. And I will go to my grave knowing that we lost our opportunity to have something meaningfully done about healthcare. We wouldn't have gotten Medicare for all. I mean, I'm gonna be realistic. We wouldn't have gotten Medicare for all. But what would have happened, Nancy Pelosi would have been speaker. Is that so bad? Would that have been so bad if it would have been another Democrat? It would have been like, hey, you should have listened to us. And here's the thing, whether it would have passed or not, and we know it wouldn't have passed, but you know what would have happened? They'd have been like, oh shit, before they try another stunt like that. Or maybe if we would have urged them to go and threaten the force to vote on Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic leadership, they would have probably been like, well, okay, if you don't use force to vote, we will lower Medicare eligibility down to 55 or 50, or we will allow the government to negotiate for lower drug prices, or we will expand Medicare and Medicaid coverage to more of the population. We'll throw something. We might not be able to get you Medicare for all. We can't do that, but we'll get you this. We'll make sure we get you this. And and if the squad would have been willing to take a little bit of that instead of, they would have been willing to do a public option or negotiating for lower drug prices. And by the way, even though I will want a hell of a lot more than that. I mean, I want more than Medicare for all, I'll tell you the truth. If you want to know what I finally want in terms of healthcare, I want a national health service like they have in Great Britain, as it was created in 1948, a socialized medical system. I want it fully socialized. And Medicare for all is not socialized medicine. But Medicare for all would begin to do a lot of repair on what's wrong with our healthcare system. And we miss our opportunity completely. It's so sad. We shouldn't even be having this debate. We should have had a Medicare single-payer healthcare system decades ago, just like the other countries. That's what's wrong with this country. We're so fucking far behind. But anyway, speaking of Nancy Pelosi, speaking of AOC, I would be remiss if I didn't show this video. It was on Joe. He's known as STFU Shitlib. Put this up last night, and I thought it was funny as hell. And you could call it a what if. It basically, if imagine Donald Trump becoming president again, and if AOC instead of Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House. That's the best way to describe it. So I would love to share this video with you. So let me do that real quick. A little bit of levity goes a long way. So let me go ahead and do this.
Don't lay a finger on my gavel. Oops.
Hold on. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. Hold on. Here we go.
Don't lay a finger on my gavel. Oops. Forgot my juice. Now what I do? Just let go now. My hand's cracked. The thing is, I could have spiked that. You'd never know until you fainted. So. Told you we wouldn't be offering any snacks.
Why not?
I like Coke. Nanu. Elegantro.
Look, I mean, it's not so bad if you're boring. No one wants to be stuck around you. Off we go.
Let's get this thing started. I like gluten down my shoes, and I'd like a pizza party.
Don't moan. No, really, don't. Just let go now. My hand's cracked. Off we go.
Thanks for the jar of pickles. It ain't even enough. And I have so many other things. A lot of packages. I always remember to refine my glue face, because it looks good. It's like, yeah.
The fire will have your soul.
I had a very terrible January with a tiny giraffe who went nuts. And she was just one cranky cucumber. Super cranky. I had planned to tell you about the Asiatic lemur. You're a seal. I knew it.
Off we go.
I will leave you now with one of my famous poems. Listen to what I tell you. The bees in the shed, the gum on the ankle, goblin goo on the goblins, and a party later for March. So like her. Pizza party. I'd like it very much. Text me.
Hey, Mike, a question. Is this the Republicans' best hope?
Well, we got me.
That's Just let go now. It's hurt right.
Okay, I just thought I offered that as a little bit of levity for you all. But anyway, okay, we have here on the chat line, Warren, how are you today? I'm good. Hey, Willie, on a short break, but I like and I share. I appreciate that. And Lucy, Blue Moon Red Wine. Lucy, hey. Willie, hey, how are you, Lucy? Let's see. I kind of like Duck Dynasty. Well, I mean, I was just kind of like messing around and all that. I mean, I'm not really a fan, but I'm just making that as an analogy, though. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that we got a lot of problems in this country, and we just got to do what we can to solve it. So there you go. I'm going to make an announcement here. Speaking of Warren, who just now, who's the host of The Secret Show on Saturday at midnight. And throughout the week, he has on Monday nights, he has his program, his regular news program. And I am going to be a guest at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I just wanted to go make that announcement. So y'all just come on and you'll get to hear me and Warren have a little chat on the air. And I think I'm very much am looking forward to this interview on Extra Bula. So and there you have it. And I'll put down the link for that program, and I will also put down the link for Joe's Twitter page, STFU Shitlib too, and they're both, and as well as Lucy, all three of them are affiliated with INN. So I'm also going to go and put down a link for INN. And I'm also going to put down one more link for KRTD Media, because they need to get up to 1,000 subscribers. And same thing with INN. They need to get up to 1,000 subscribers. So also subscribe to Indie News Network. And I am going to say right now, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with what I have to say, comment anyway. We will have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to this channel here on YouTube, Twitch. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And one more thing. Well, what was I going to say? I guess I'll say that later. And always reject corporate media, because corporate media has nothing to offer us. Always try to get a second opinion, and independent media is always the go-to as far as getting that second opinion. Until next time, I wish each and every one of you a great morning, great day, or great evening, a great night, or whatever time of the day it happens to be for you. I will conclude by saying to each and every one of y'all, music.